Now, coming to some of the IMF data, I wanted to ask you, how long is this pandemic going to last? That's what everybody's asking. And how long before we come out of it? Your data, sorry, you know all this data inside out, but for our viewers, I'm extracting it from the IMF report. The IMF data shows that the global economy, GDP, will recover by 2021, but only by a measly 1%. 1% over a span of 2 years. And even perhaps that tiny 1% increase since 2019 is an overestimate. In reality, during these 2 years, the pandemic impact on the world is much more. In fact, the world will lose 7% of its GDP because under normal circumstances, non-pandemic circumstances, the world economy would have grown by about 8% in these 2 years. Now it's forecast to rise by only 1%. So actually the world will have lost 7% of global GDP due to the pandemic. And that's a huge loss.
Yep.
So to get back to a no-loss period for the global economy, that's going to take much, much longer, right? And even though the global bounce back is very clear in your IMF forecast, it's going to take a long while to recoup the massive global economic loss that we faced.
So it is true, and it is applicable to the whole world. By 2025, we will have lost $28 trillion. It is huge loss. So what we are seeing is a tremendous shock caused by the pandemic. And let me stress, first and foremost, this is a human tragedy. We have lost more than 1 million lives already, 100,000 in India. But also an economic shock we have not experienced since the Great Depression. For the first time, we brought the economy in standstill on purpose. We ask producers not to produce, consumers not to consume. And that has taken a portion of potential growth that we would never get back. More importantly is what next? So we acted very decisively. In the first months of the crisis, central banks and finance ministries together put a sound floor under the world economy. The IMF did its own part. We contributed to destabilization. However, until there is a durable exit from the health crisis everywhere, we expect an uneven, partial, uncertain recovery.
Right.
In our projections, we put our trust in our scientists, and we expect that there will be vaccine available sometime between the beginning and middle of next year. And then it will take some time for this vaccine to be applied everywhere. Only then we can talk about sustained recovery from the pandemic. And as you can see, in many places, there is a search of a second wave. That means we will retreat somewhat from economic activities again.